Hi everybody, thanks for coming. I did my thesis project on the assessment of the carbon footprint of Stone Barn Center for Food and Agriculture there, not far from here. Late in the 1880s, the Rockefeller family, specifically John D. Rockefeller, began buying the land in the area of Pocantico Hill that became a larger Rockefeller estate in this area. And the farm, the center itself, with the center lays now, it's was part of the Rockefeller estate. That it's supposed to encompass the 3,600 acres. It's a pretty large estate. And the center itself was born by the wheeling of Peggy Rockefeller, that was David's wife. They started raising Simmental cattle, and was even the co-founder the American Farmland Trust. That is a non-profit organization that seeks to foster environmentally healthy farming practices and pioneer the use of conservation easement to protect agricultural lands from development. At the center itself was established in memory of Peggy Rockefeller. Stone Barn Center is difficult to be defined because it's at the same time a farm, a restaurant, an educational center. It is located on approximately 80 acres of the Rockefeller estate in Pocantico Hills, as I already said. And it was created by David Rockefeller and his daughter Peggy Dulaine, that is now co-chair and board of director of the Stone Barn Center. It opened to the public in 2004, and it has, as I already said, educational objectives woven into the operation. And also the center itself, it's part of the collaborative regional alliance for farmer training called CRAFT. It also deals with an apprenticeship program that I guess is the main reason why for the center to exist and to provide knowledge to young farmers and young people that are interested and somehow related to farming practices. And the center itself accommodated approximately 100,000 visitors yearly. They're supposed to. Stone Barns is a center. It's at the same time a focal point in the healthy eating movement, and was to be a kind of landmark for the sustainable farming practices and also the way we eat related to the way we grow. And the center itself had the visit of the First Lady together with other UN Vice representatives recently in the last fall. As you can see, together with the co-owner and the executive chef of Blue Hill Restaurant at Stone Barns, Ben Barber. This is the map of the center with the different area separated by vocational attitudes. You have the main building that was originally a dairy farm with the main crop area on the right, outdoor area. Then you have the main grazing area, that is the 20, I don't know if you can see right here. Then you have the main outdoor crop area. This is the main building. You have the restaurant in this area. Those are two silos, hay barns that are now converted for restaurant purposes. This is the educational center. You have a bar and a coffee that is open for lunch, and Doria Garden, where they grow up different stuff, and also some apple trees. The two greenhouses, where they have indoor cultivation, and some bar for the recovery during the winter period of chickens and turkeys. And also they kind of vary their offer during the year. While here, this is the compost pad, where the compost is aligning compost in the windrows. While this is the main grazing area. This is the slaughterhouse, where they slaughter weekly chickens that are growing in the farm. This is not part of the farm itself. They raise cattle. It's a cattle farm. As I already mentioned, Stone Barn Center is a combination of mainly three different aspects. We have it's a non-profit farm, basically an educational center, and has within itself a partner restaurant that is Blue Hill at Stone Barns. As you can see, that, I mean, a lot of different people with different background are involved in the center itself. And I kind of summarize on the left the different people that are part of the center. You have the executive manager, first the manager of the campus operation, Greg Tuyus, the manager of the livestock operation, there is Greg Haney, and the manager of the, let's say, vegetative and crop and first season farm manager, there is Jack Cargier, and again the owner and executive chef Dan Barber, while this is the director of the educational programs. This is the farm from an aerial view, and our intention was to map the area where the center was laying on, while here on the right you can see a different operation within the farm. So, as I say already, the farm it's a mix of different things that they kind of working together in order to provide the best awareness and knowledge of the things that are going on in the farm itself. You have the restaurant, the compost, the market, and it takes weekly at the farm, the livestock operation, the greenhouse operation. This is the slaughterhouse, while you can see visitors and some activities with children inside the restaurant. The intention of this project was to assess and determine the carbon footprint of the farm. Carbon footprint is a pretty underdeveloped context, and I mean, it was difficult for me to assess it, even because it's difficult to find work on it, and you have different way of assessing it. My first intention was to collect energy and fuel bills by the farm, and they were all very concerned about providing me the largest amount of information possible. So for the electricity, I collect all the bill for 2009, separated for 3 different contexts: Blue Hill, public lighting, and Western Barns greenhouse. For what it concerns the fuel consumption, I survey employees of Stone Barns without considering the restaurant, and I also ran a survey through the visitors that were visiting Stone Barns for 1 month, and I kind of projected this for the whole year. So I made some assumption with this. Then I received the bill for the fleet of the employees that were of the fleet within Stone Barns, because they own some different vehicles for running different operations. And they also surveyed the summer camp that runs during the summertime for 2 months. Yeah, that one was my main goal. Then I also got the bill for propane that they used as an heating oil. And again, it was separated by different facilities, this different building. Blue Hill, the one for greenhouse, and for the chicken scalder of the slaughterhouse. Once I collect all this data, I organize them into spreadsheets in order to have a larger view of the amount of energy consumed, amount of gallons, heating oil, and fuel consumed. So on the left you have the 3 energy divided by facility itself, by, let's say, department, for the restaurant, the public lighting, and the Western Barns and greenhouse. On the right here, you have the amount of propane that was used for 2009, with these amounts in gallons, and its relative cost. While here it's part of the employee that I sampled and I surveyed. And I also, just for a reason of research, I also were asking them if they were carpooling, how many other people were carpooling with the driver. I researched, while I was looking for a calculator in order to assess a value that could have been the closest as possible to what is the reality, we ended up choosing this calculator that is the C2 plan that was kind of developed and run by 2 pharmacists in Scotland that received a grant from the European Union in order for the purpose of developing this carbon footprint software. As you can see on the left, there is a sample of one of the different windows that I used to insert the data within the calculator, and they have different voices included in the data listed. And at the end, they will give you the emission of carbon equivalents. You can decide whatever you want to have as an output. You can have just CO2 or different greenhouse gases divided by some other department. You have energy, food, livestock, fertilizer, crops, forestry, and land use changes. They also take into account the change during the time of what probably before could have been a forest and then was developed into a grazing pasture. This is the sample of the survey that I ran through the visitor to determine the fuel used by visitors. I was asking them their zip code, their vehicle class, the type of fuel used. The majority of them were using gas oil. Then estimated miles per gallon, the miles traveled to stone barns, round trip. And then I also put down if their visit to stone barns involved a flight or not, and from where did they get the flight. To run this survey took to me around 1 month, and then I project the survey for those months all year around. And this is the result that I got from the surveys that I ran, and I organized into an Excel spreadsheet. This is the employee survey that was pretty similar to the other, but for different reasons, there's some change in it. Again, zip code, how many days a week they were working on stone barns. The employee that was filling this was one survey per car. Again, the vehicle class, the type of fuel used, miles per gallon, miles traveled per day. If they carpool, how many people do they ride with? And again, if they commute, where does the trips are from, and if they take a cab from the train station. A lot of people that are working on the farm actually are commuting daily from back and forth from different parts of Manhattan or Brooklyn. Even a consistent amount of people that are working in the farm are coming from Westchester County. And this again is the employees survey plotted in this Excel spreadsheet. I tried to sample as many cars as possible, but it was pretty difficult because the farm itself is pretty include a lot of different employees that are running on different shifts, so I try to sample them as accurate as possible, without including again the employee of the restaurant. This is a diagram that summarizes somehow what I was trying to do during this study. We were trying to assess as precise as possible the amount of carbon dioxide emitted during the year, considering the large amount of operation that are happening in the farm itself. And those are, this is a schematization of all the practices and activities that are usually running in a farm. You can see uptake too by trees and emission that can become from livestock, from cropping operation, by organic decomposition of composting, and by fire. So it's kind of summarizes what we try to assess. For the compost, it was pretty difficult to find the study available and the previous investigation of what can be the impact of compost concerning the emission of CO2. So based on some study that we found of previous study concerning the compost operation conducted by a group of Yale students, this was the amount that they evaluate to be produced of raw material yearly. Of that amount, 50% was considered to be water by a study. And then we calculated the approximate amount of carbon of dry material is around 26%, that give us this amount in pounds of carbon for this amount of raw material. And with a 75% conversion of carbonaceous material to CO2, we obtain that average pounds of CO2. And then we, by this chemical formula, we obtain the amount of tons that were approximately emitted during the 2000 years with the raw material treated. This is a summarizing chart of all the total aspects that I took into account. They are divided by electricity, fuel, gasoline, oil, and propane, and compost on the bottom. They will refer to 2009. Then, for the visitors, I approximated the amount of them for that month and kind of spread all over the 2009. For the employees, I consider a number of working days during the year of 250 days in 1 year. Then you have the summer camp that is running for 4 weeks for 5 days a week. And then for all the other aspects, I consider 2009 as the period of investigation. As you can see that, I mean, the larger number, it concerns the compost operation. I discussed about that later. And for what it concerns the electricity, the larger amount is provided by, as I suppose, from the restaurant itself and its electricity consumption. We have even a pretty large impact of employees that are commuting, but it's still low if compared to the amount of carbon equivalent related to the compost operation. Then this is divided by percentage, and in this tab you can see the support of each voice on each line to the 100% of total emission of 2009. So the compost contribute by around 77% to the total amount of emission of the farm. Plus we have 4% for electricity of the restaurant, another around 4% for public light electricity. And you have few percentage, not even, I mean, let's say around 1 for what it concerns the gasoline consumption. Divided by visitor, employee, summer camp, and fleet. The total carbon dioxide emitted was of 2,328 tons for 2009. I derived this number making different assumptions, and because when you make an assumption, you have somehow to standardize the result and make an assumption on how many days the people are working in that context of the amount of raw material that is treated yearly. So, as in every evaluation, I made some assumptions. And at the same time, we consider the amount of carbon dioxide emitted without considering the fact that the center is located physically in the proximity with Indian Point, that is an energy center, that is a nuclear power plant, where I assume the center takes the electricity from the grid. So probably, considering the fact that this proximity, the impact of the farm would have been lower in reality. And also, I find out that the total carbon footprint attributable to electricity consumption is lower than 10%. The amount of compostable variable by year regarding to weather condition, if you have to compost more or less vegetative material, and also the amount of raw material that is coming from the kitchen waste, it's somehow fluctuated during the different years. But at the same time, I think even if the compost was the main voice in the emission of carbon dioxide, it can be considered, it is considered like an alternative to waste disposal. That it would have generated probably higher amount of carbon dioxide. conclusion, in this project we focus on just one greenhouse gas out of all different gases that are included as the greenhouse gases, the CO2. The impacts of different other gases wasn't taken into account, like could have been the production of methane deriving from the composting operation. I think that for further use of, and also for the purpose of the use of energy within the farm itself, they should consider further development of systems that can manage the methane that is emitted by the compost operation. In order to compare the number that we obtain, we search for other comparable operation and other comparable center, but it's difficult to find a center with the same feature of the center itself, since it includes a restaurant, an educational center, and a farm, as poor as a farm is supposed to be. So, again, this was an evaluative investigation, so there are some approximation in this number that was the output. And again, I will suggest some further study on the viability of methane reuse to be conducted in order to see if it's viable or not to use reuse the methane that is emitted by the compost pile. In order to make this project, I would like to thank for the contribution Dr. Peggy Minnis, that with her support and her experience during this program, without her proactive enthusiasm, my experience would not have been the same. And my advisor, and also the person in charge for the compost department, that is Greg Tuyus, who supports during the development of this project, made this achievable and gave me also the opportunity of sharing his knowledge and providing me with a lot of background and feedback. And also for giving me the opportunity of sharing his work at the center, because I was working for 3 months during the summer, and I know also to gaining knowledge on something that I just started doing, and also for what is this job at the farm. And also to all the staff that provide me with all the information that I needed in order to come out with this project. That was very helpful, and they were all kind with me and providing me all this information. And this is it.